folks, Amy from Colorado Mountain Living. In this video, I wanted to give you an update on our bees. Since we've been gone, it's been a couple of weeks since I've checked in the hive, and I want to see what the status is as far as honey. Usually July is the peak time where bees are bringing in the pollen, they're bringing in the nectar, and it's a good time to check on honey storage. So I want to take a look in there and see what's going on, and especially the status as well of the hive that was sort of weak, and I want to see how well they're doing. And then behind me, you can see here I've got the pots. I wanted to do a update quick on and then behind me you can see we moved some of the vegetables in the pots over to the side of the retaining wall here. And potatoes are looking good. We've got some romaine lettuce growing and some beets and some kale. But I wanted to take a look also today to give you an update 1 week with the grow light. I think you're going to be surprised on what we see in just 1 week's time of using the grow light inside. So let's go take a look and see what our progress is. So it's been about 5 days since I put all the seeds in, and well, we've got sprouts. This is the tray of arugula. So they actually had come up. I noticed them yesterday for the first time, and they were half the size, but definitely quite a bit coming through. This next to it, I think actually that's just a weed. I don't think that's cilantro. It was something that was in the pot earlier, but nothing else really coming up. Actually, these pots need water. Might be able to dig a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I don't really see anything on this one. So, kind of exciting. I mean, the truth be told, the arugula is the one seed packet that I used that was brand new seed. So everything else, the seeds were pretty old. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Could have something to do with it, but actually the beets were a new seed as well. So that is this larger one. So I would expect to see the beets pretty soon. But everything else, we'll see what happens. Maybe this weekend we'll start seeing some more greens poking through. I'm going to take a closer look. Actually, I think if I zoom in right there on the green beans, I can see a green bean coming through. So stuff is happening, guys. Keep you posted. So today it's the 1 week mark from when I planted the seeds with the using the grow light, and I'm going to check on them. I checked on them one time midweek and was just curious to see if anything had sprouted yet. But 1 week later, I think you're going to find it interesting how much has happened in just 7 days. You can see behind me, the light's pretty bright up there. It's been going 24/7. We've turned down the light at night sometimes, not every single night, but sometimes it kind of shines up from the basement upstairs, but and just to kind of reduce some of the power usage. Anyway, so it's been going. It's been going for 7 days. So let's go see what the status is. This big pot is beets. I kind of left my my package here just so I could keep track. And lots of little sprouts coming up. Lots of beets. These were probably one of the last ones to come up. Here's the arugula. We looked at that a few days ago. That was the very first thing to come up. And I think those seeds were some of the freshest. They definitely were pretty fresh. Over here is spinach. We got spinach coming up sparsely. Back here in this little one we have romaine lettuce. Over here's a few kale coming up, a couple of green beans coming up. And the only two things that are not are the scallions and the cilantro. The cilantro was from seeds I had saved, and the scallions were pretty old seeds as well, so it's possible that they were just non-viable seeds. I don't think I've grown anything from those. Who knows how old the scallions are. And the cilantro may not have been viable either. But it's very exciting just in 1 week's time to see all this sprouting action. Things looking pretty good. I'm keeping things moist. And things are doing okay on top of the washer dryer. I know some folks have mentioned, careful, they might fall off of the shaking, but we secured the dryer to the washer pretty securely, so it's doing pretty well. Anyway, so that's the update right here with the grow light. Week 1, lots of sprout action. So will it be interesting to see what happens on week 2? I'm thinking maybe we'll see things get a lot taller. We might have to adjust the light, especially as things start getting more height. But I think we're a few weeks away from that. But definitely cool to kind of see this progress. I'm really pleased so far. I'm actually already thinking of other things I might want to grow. We'll see what happens. Maybe I can utilize these pots that aren't growing anything right now. Guys, this is one more look at the end of the day. Look at those green beans. They totally leafed out by the end of the day there. So things are coming along really, really quickly. I think maybe green beans take the cake. They grow tall really quickly, but things are looking good with the grow light. So far, really impressed for week 1. Well, hey guys, it's Amy from Colorado Mountain Living. Today I'm out at the beehives. I haven't checked on them yet since our vacation, so I want to see how they've been doing. Normally, this is like the high time of the summer where they're bringing in lots of pollen and lots of nectar and turning it into honey. So I'm definitely going to get a look inside to see how they're coming along, especially that hive that gave us some trouble, the recovery hive, we're calling it now. It's a little breezy today. That's the only thing. I happen to have a nice hour lunch break today, so I wanted to get in there this afternoon to see how things are looking. So anyway, hopefully the bees are nice to me despite the wind. I've got my mic on, so hopefully the wind sounds aren't too bad. But I'm going to take a look and see what's going on in all my hives today. All right, let's see how it's going. I've been out of feed for a couple of weeks now. I haven't been feeding them since I got back, and I'm sure that they ran out. These feeders are empty. So I'm curious to see what their situation is, if they're going to need a little bit of assistance or not. So the hive I'm going to check out first is my recovery hive. This one had a lot of problems. They were just coming back. Definitely want to be extra careful about the smoker and high winds like today. Okay, the feeder's dry, which is to be expected. This hive, I just wanted to see if it's time to expand. So one thing to notice, there's the bees there. They're building some comb on the back side of the feeder there. That's when you know the feeder's been on too long and they start building comb attached to it. How friendly they are. Well, this hive still feels pretty light. There's some nectar in there, but I was hoping they would have a lot more by now. Of course, the other thing I'm curious about is if the queen is laying and if they're expanding much. So I see a lot of brood and a lot of colors of pollen. I don't know if I can get closer to the camera here. It's a lot of really cool pollen colors, like red, orange. And brood is always a good sign. That means, you know, that the queen is laying eggs. Brood is anything inside the hive that is going to make a bee. So eggs, covered or non-covered larvae. Well, this one looks great. It's filled with brood and larvae and pollen. Curious if I can see the queen on it anywhere. I see a queen cell. So I'm thinking the queen it's possible she might be failing. They build a queen cell, it's the shape of a peanut. They also do this if their queen dies or what have you. This is also, they build this when they get crowded. So on the upper side of the frame, when you see a queen cell here, that usually means, well, I need to double check what that means. Could mean supersedure. Yeah, they're all around that queen cell that they've built. So they know what's going on. There's only one, and I feel like it's what you call a supersedure cell. It's at the top of the frame. The bees kind of realize when the queen is coming to the end of her reign, you could say, and so they prepare another queen. And what happens is when this one either the queen dies or there's like a battle when the new queen emerges, that the new one takes over and the old one dies out. They kind of have a fight to the end. So I have yet to see the queen, so it makes me curious how she's doing. She should be on the next frame if she's on here at all. They're not acting like they don't have a queen, because usually when bees don't have a queen, they are a lot more aggressive acting, less calm, more anxious. If they are building a queen cell, I'm not opposed to that. This queen is pretty old. She's the original queen from 3 years ago, and they're probably ready for a new queen. This is a slightly heavier frame, filled with brood. Good news. Looking good. I mean, for a failing queen, she's still laying quite a bit of larvae, so that's nice. So this is like a nectar pollen frame. I'm not going to see the queen on it probably. But I just feel like they don't have enough nectar and pollen. I mean, they don't have enough honey in here for a hive that needs to expand. So I'm going to definitely go back to feeding this hive, at least for another week or two. And they've got empty comb here with nothing in it. So it's a hive that's starting to expand, this hive that's getting some bees in it, but just not at a level that I'm comfortable with. Just not quick enough. I mean, summer's ending. You know what I mean? Looks like they're rescuing some pollen out of it. They're moving some stuff around. Okay, so nothing in that one. Super, let's see, not much in this one. So 8 out of the 10 frames, not really. But like I said, it's super light in here, and I would like to have them have more. So overall, the hive doesn't look much different than it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago when I checked it before vacation. They haven't filled out that many more frames, and these frames are stuck together. And they don't have a ton of honey, you know? I just want them to have a little bit more. There's no way they could make it through a winter at this point with what they've got. Okay, well, my verdict is these guys are getting ready for a new queen. They are not acting like they don't have a queen, but it's possible. It looks like the queen was at least here a few days ago, because there's a lot of larvae and stuff, eggs still. The next thing to do is to get this feeder going. So not in bad shape overall, but I see what's going to be happening here. So yeah, interesting. They're building a queen cell, just one. So I think they're trying to get ready for a new queen. I didn't find the old queen, but there's a lot of larvae in there. So the bees are expanding. There's not a lot of honey. I'm going to feed them some more, and hopefully I can get them built up to survive the winter. That's my plan for this hive. I want to take a look at this hive on the end here. They looked like they had a lot of activity, and I'm just curious about what their brood situation is, what their feed situation is. Does this hive have more honey than this other one? This hive smells really good. It smells like honey in here. Okay, I'm going to pull the frame right out from the middle. Ultimately, the best thing to see would be a frame full of honey. This frame's a little bit wobbly. Now, what's all in here is brood. This is all capped brood. So that's what's going on in here. Not any honey, actually. Capped brood, which is good. There's a little bit of honey around the edges. That means this hive's expanding. So that's good news. It's a good sign. I just was hoping there would be more honey in this hive. So that means probably the center frames are the brood nest. So probably a lot more brood. So it looks like there was brood that maybe hatched out of the middle. There's still brood here, there's still brood here. And there's still brood here and here. So anyway, she probably laid eggs here first, and they're all hatched out. But a lot more brood. So this is an expanding hive as well. They're actually looking pretty full. I think this is a hive that needs another super on top. Honey thick on this side, brood in the middle. So what I'm going to try to do is go down and see if there's anything empty below, and I might be able to flip-flop some of these frames. This is a honey frame, empty on this side, so still have room to put stuff, but I know they want to go up. So, and I've got some empty frames over here. So, and then I've got 2 more empty honeycomb frames. They're just empty comb. So this, I would say this doesn't need another super just yet. All right, so I've got those back in. Oh, there's a bee trying to get me. And that's what the suit's good for. It came right for my head, so glad I had it on today. Oh, still going after me. It might find my legs soon. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So actually I might close up this hive just for now, since I have an aggravated bee, which might recruit the others. I just want to see where they're at. I think they will be good for the weekend, so I can kind of put them back together. Well, the hive I'm curious about. So I am curious if Hive 1 needs more room. This would be the one thing that I need to know. So who needs room first? Who's going to get that super? I think I'm going to give them all feed just because they weren't, none of them are really swimming in honey. So again, what I want to see is honey in the middle. Honey in the middle. So this had fresh, this just had foundational comb. The bees had to build out the honeycomb. And that takes a lot of resources. But what they are building out, they are filling with honey. So that's good. It's a good sign that they needed the room and they are expanding. So there's only 3 frames in here that are filled out with a little bit of honey. So I think they could use some help building out their comb a little bit more. So that means more feeding from me. It's just a hit and mix up here in the mountains. You'd never know if they're going to get what they need to make a lot of honey. So yeah, you never really know. It could be the dry weather and there could be less flowers. There could just not be a lot of nectar producing flowers. But I definitely would say that all 3 hives don't have the amount of honey that I want to see them have. I mean, of course we all want to see a lot of honey, but it could be a little bit more, I think. So I'm going to use up the rest of the sugar that I have to make some sugar syrup and help them out. Well, as you can see, the bees are humming along. Kind of disappointing that they don't have a ton of honey. I guess I'm sort of used to that. When I was keeping bees in North Carolina, we had honey, honey, honey all the time. And right now they're barely putting up anything. So, you know, it's mid-July. We'll see what happens. You know, they still have a little ways to go before the season sort of dries up. But I'm going to feed them in the meantime. And I guess if I do get any honey, it'll be a mixture of sugar water honey and some wildflower honey. So anyway, for personal use, that's good enough for me. But definitely curious to see what happens with that little middle hive right there with the queen cell. You know, I'm hoping that it turns into a situation where they form a brand new queen. And it's just a replacement of the queen. I'm hoping that it's not really a swarm situation. They're not crowded in there. They have plenty of room, so I doubt it's a swarm situation. And there's just the one queen cell that I've seen so far. But also, you know, definitely pleased with the progress of the grow light. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.